Devon's here, joined on our player profile series with Devon Brookshire. Devon is a professional basketball player currently playing in Portugal. Her story is incredible. She's been to so many different countries, so many different places, and this game has taken her a great way. And we're going to really get into some of her story, some kind of the mental health stuff that she really is an advocate for. But we were talking a little bit before, Devon. I'm like fascinated with California, and I love California. Like, I'm from New Jersey, so there's always like, I don't want to go back to like, the 1990s and East Coast West Coast rap battles, but like there's always that strong West Coast versus strong East Coast basketball. So let's take us through. You grew up in California. You had close to the beach, and you grew up in a very basketball centric area of California. So take us through that. Was that something that you kind of learned early on? Are most people in California playing basketball at that age?
I think, yeah, there's a lot of basketball for sure being played. And I think when I was growing up, like, I didn't really know any different because that was just what I knew. So, obviously being kind of just outside the Los Angeles area, like, there's so many different club teams, so many different people playing. And so it was really just a hotbed for talent and a really great experience kind of getting into competitive basketball at a young age.
It is. There's places I've gone and people I've talked to. I mean, obviously the Minnesotas, I feel like those Midwest, Indiana, everyone's playing basketball, but there's places that I've gone and people just no one plays basketball. Everyone does something else. Like Texas, I know a lot of people and they're like, yeah, I didn't start playing until later because I was playing football. And it was just, and a lot of people just do these things differently. So it's pretty cool to see what goes on in other places and, how that starts. So, you were obviously a very good youth player, good high school player, took you through into college, and you started at Northwestern. And, take us through that experience of even getting recruited to go play college basketball. Take us through that one.
Yeah, like you said, I had a good career starting out. I was recruited pretty young and had, a lot of interest. My junior season of high school, I actually tore my ACL, which was not great timing because it was kind of midway through my high school season. So I missed probably the most important recruiting summer. And I had all the schools be like, oh, we are still interested. We just want to see how you come back. Cool. And then I look and they're signing other people. And so, I don't blame them. It's how the nature of the beast, but it definitely kind of rocked the recruiting process a bit for me. I came back my senior season and it came back great. I had the best season of my high school career post injury, and but lots of spots were filled, so it got stressful. But Northwestern actually came in kind of midway through my senior season, and they really fit what I was looking for. Academics were very important to me, and they're obviously a prestigious academic university. And then playing in the Big Ten as a Power 5 conference was a great opportunity. So I decided to go there out of high school, and on paper it was great. But then you get there and things are just a little different. So it ended up, I loved the school, loved my teammates and everything. Just basketball fit wise, it wasn't the right one for me. And I did know that I wanted to pursue basketball post college. So I made the decision to transfer after my sophomore year.
That's it definitely is a tough thing. We've talked about this in the podcast before. I think at 18, no one knows who they are at 18. You don't even know who you are. And it took me to 30 to really understand fully who I was.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy that at 18, it's just this huge decision that can alter your path in so many different ways, who you meet, your teammates, your friends, that you have to make at such a young age. And you really don't know the situation until you're there. And sometimes it's a fit and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, and I mean, I still to this day, I made the best decision that I could with the information I had at the time, and I don't regret it at all. I still have some great relationships from Northwestern, and it also helped me to grow a lot as a person and a player, kind of going through that experience. So yeah, so sometimes it happens.
And then you went to St. Mary's, California, and
Correct.
finished your career there. Take us through the process. I know everyone's is different, how you kind of go from college to pro, because there's so many different paths you can take and there's so many different ways. What was your story? What was your path that you took?
So basically, I knew that I wanted to continue playing. I talked with my head coach following my senior season, and he kind of put me in touch with agents to reach out to. And so, but yeah, at that point, I had no idea what I was doing. And I signed with an agent. She ended up getting me a job in Ireland out of college, and then the rest has just been a whole learning experience since then.
You said it perfectly. Like every place that you go, you take something with you, and it really does become a learning experience. Like we talk about with the stuff that we do with post athletic careers, when people retire, having different things set up for them so when they retire, because you really do, there is such a unique perspective, because not even pro athletes in the NBA, they're sitting there, they're in the same place. I think just playing overseas is such a unique perspective, and you do get culture, you do grow so much as a human being because you have to do this all by yourself. So was that scary? You leave home and you kind of go to Ireland on your own, and it's like, oh shit, here I am. I guess this is.
Yeah. I think it was. I don't know. I just kind of looked at it as just like this is an adventure, and all I want to play basketball, and this is what it's gonna take. So let's go for it. Yeah, I didn't. I think at the time I didn't really appreciate like how kind of just different of a concept it is, just so but being in Ireland my first year, it actually was kind of nice because it wasn't like a huge culture shock, in the sense that like they do speak English, and very American friendly. So it was kind of like a little bit of a like less of a jump kind of to go into my first year, and then got me more prepared for different experiences following.
It is the English speaking countries, because honestly, my experience, I was in the G League, or like it was the D League back then. And then I went to Australia first. Actually, I went to Poland, but then the money dried up and I hated overseas like after that. But then I went to I went to Australia, and you're totally right that it was just such a nice buffer to kind of ease my way into overseas basketball and be like, oh shit, this isn't this bad, because everyone speaks English and it's very Americanized. And I'm sure Ireland has very similar experiences.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, you've been to Ireland, you head to France, you've been to many different countries. What was your favorite place to play? And this is always a question that people, this is like, because Portugal, I don't want Portugal listening and me like, oh, screw this. So you always think okay. So let's back this up and kind of the not even the most enjoyable, pretty scenery outside of basketball.
I would actually, I mean, I'm not even saying that because I'm here right now, but I would say Portugal, at least especially in the area that I'm at. Like I live on the beach, it's so nice. And I'm a Cali girl, so it's kind of like a little taste of home for me. So just being around the beach every day and getting to just all the coastlines and stuff here are really incredible. So I've definitely enjoyed that.
So because of the Cali thing, you're more of a beach person.
Yeah.
You're not like the Moors and shit in Ireland. Like that's cool. But yeah, it's more, let's get me to the beach.
Yeah, like I'm very much appreciative of nature. I love like the mountains and like hiking and all of that. But like at the end of the day, like take me to the beach.
So you played in France, and France is
Hmm.
obviously very well known for basketball. I know when we
Hmm.
look at kind of the national teams, I know France has a strong national team, women's national team.
Hmm.
So how is the what let's go to the next question, which is the competition. Where have you played where the competition was the best?
I think it really varies. In France, France has such a great like professional league structure. Like there's 5 professional leagues, and so they're a very basketball is very important to them. So when I went, I was actually in the third league, but I would say competition wise, it was comparable to many top leagues in smaller countries.
Mhm.
And so yeah, so that was competitive. I played in Spain briefly last year, and it was probably like a step up, definitely a step up from France. And then just in the league that I was in, and then Latvia was probably similar as well. And I've been impressed with the competition here in Portugal too. So it really just depends, and it depends on like the team that you're on, and the year. It kind of varies, but overall, just trying to kind of get to the best competition I can each year, and keep improving.
How do you think? Okay, next, as we're going through these, I didn't want to bombard you with what's your best, so let's just individually go through the best, the
Okay.
nicest people, the people that really treated you the best off the court.
Oh, true. Well, I'm a little bit biased because in Ireland actually lived with a family,
Oh,
which was
cool.
really very unique. And I absolutely lucked out in the sense that they're now my second family. They have a daughter that's my age, so now she's my best friend. Like I spent Christmas with them this year because I couldn't go home. So they were just absolutely spoiled me. So they were great. So and Ireland in general, like their people are just really really kind. But I also my second year in France, I was surrounded. The club was really really good to me. And people in Portugal have been really welcoming too. So I've had good experiences for the most part with the people in the countries that I've been
You are way more adventurous than I am because I'm a pretty
in.
adventurous person, but to go for your first experience overseas and you have to go and live with a family that you don't know. It's not
Yeah.
even, like it's like because at college, I feel like you're like, all right, I might have a roommate, I might be on my own,
Hmm.
and you can kind of have that buffer where it's like, all right, I can just. But when you're just like, I'm living with a family, and this is straight
Yeah.
on, I don't know any of them. Was there some apprehension, some fear when you kind of walked in?
Um, yeah. Well, we had talked on like Zoom or something before, so I kind of had an idea of them, and I knew that they had a daughter my age. So I was like, okay, like that's fine. But I wasn't really planning like going over. I was just kind of thinking like, okay, this will be where I stay, and like that's it. I didn't expect to become as close with them as I did. So it was really a blessing. Like I said though, I mean, I lucked out with the family that I got. If it was a different situation, it could have been a little bit more uncomfortable.
You go to a foreign country, it's just like, here's a foreign family. We're like, all
Yeah,
right.
I mean, yeah.
And I always think that on the court, your off the court situation definitely affects your on the court, and it takes a really strong mentality to kind of be
Hmm.
like block everything out and just focus on basketball. Because everywhere I played,
Hmm.
mentally, if it was a shitty situation off, I kind of my performance dipped. Have you found that at
Yeah.
all, or is it just you're just kind of are you one of the like you have the Mamba mentality where you're just like, I don't care, I'm good.
Yes and no. I think at the end of the day, like, we all strive for that mentality, but we're human, and so when things don't go well off the court, it can seep in for sure. That was my experience in Spain last year. It was very just club specific. I'm not hating on Spain at all. But yeah, it was not a good off the court situation, and I actually made the decision to leave after 2 months because it was taking a toll on me mentally, and so I had to kind of get into a better situation for me. but yeah, it can be difficult.
That's a very brave and, hard thing to do. Trust me. I mean, I don't think people understand, and there's always this stigma of just poor little athlete, and they don't really understand, the pressures and the things that you kind of deal with, especially an overseas athlete where you're far away and you don't have really that support system. So that's a very brave thing. I commend you. I think that's like a very admirable thing, because most people will just be like, whatever. I know a guy who's playing in Ukraine, and he finally everything's good now, but it's like there's this constant, are we getting invaded, and I'm like, how do you mentally go to practice every day without thinking like, oh shit, like there's something could happen when I'm at practice, like how my stuff, like I would be a nervous wreck. And it's crazy because I don't think people understand the mental toll it takes.
No, for sure. And I think there's an idea that you're a professional basketball player, so your life is super glamorous, and like it's not the case at all. And so when things get to the point where they are impacting your well-being and your mental wellness and stuff, then you have to start to make decisions for yourself, because like this is you're over here to play basketball and do your job, and that's great, but you have to prioritize kind of how you're feeling and your experience too.
When was the last time you've been home back to Cali?
I left for Portugal in September.
Okay, so you were able to, because I know with COVID it's been a kind of a nightmare, but you were able to get back, have some time to kind of recharge the battery.
Yeah, for sure. I've spent pretty much every summer at home.
Where is your happy place, like that mental happy place where you can escape to and reset your battery? Because that's so important for an athlete to reset and just mentally get ready for the next dose. Where's your mental happy place?
Just in my head, or
just in like an actual place, like when you go home, is there a place that you're like, I go here and I sit here and I can completely go?
Yeah, so as we were kind of talking about earlier, like the beach is definitely one of those places for me, and I think that's why I've been so happy here. Is it's really grounding. Just like the sounds of the waves really just kind of bring me like peace, and the feeling of the sand and everything. So that's a big one. And then when I'm home, my family has like a cabin in the mountains, and we go there. Awesome. And very peaceful. Tons of just nature, not really a lot of people around, kind of just get to disconnect from everything. And so we go there every summer when I'm home, and that's always a really nice reset for me.
It's so crazy. I feel like I'm living like your life, but like the second rate one, because it's like I'm kind of in a similar area where New Jersey, like I'm right outside of Philadelphia. So we call it the shore. Like we're about 45 minutes from the shore. So it's like that's where the beach is and everything, and Atlantic City and everything. And then I'm about an hour and a half from the Poconos, which is like the mountains. But it's not, when you go to the oceans, like the ocean, Atlantic City and Ocean City and stuff, it's not it's not California. Like California beaches are like the real deal. Like I'm going and it smells bad and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm living like the second rate, but I do love that Cali has like the ability to kind of get away and go to the mountains as well. Because I think that's absolutely. Just having both of those, and is super cool. Do you do a lot of tourism kind of stuff when you're playing? Like, have you been visiting places that are tourist attractions while you've been out?
Yeah, I try. It's hard with just limited off time, but so far in Portugal, like I've visited Lisbon for a weekend. I went to Porto for a night. Actually went to Nazaré, which is probably less known, but they have like the biggest waves in the world for surfers. It's incredible. There's a documentary on HBO called The 100-Foot Wave, and I watched it prior to coming to Portugal. And when I realized I was so close, I was like, I have to go when I can. And so that was really cool. Like, you just watch these jet skis towing surfers on the waves because you can't paddle out, and there's like this whole rescue situation. So that was cool to see for sure. Yeah, I definitely try, no matter what country I'm in, when I can, to just get to to see, because I mean it's a great experience and opportunity to see places that I probably never would have. When I was in France, one of the years I was pretty close to the Belgian border, which was nice because I could go to Belgium in like 30 minutes, and then I was 2 hours from Luxembourg, and then like 2 hours from Germany. So I actually got each, when I had time, I kind of got to hit off some of those countries, which was really cool. So yeah.
Are you a surfer? Have you surfed?
Yeah, so that's where my California reputation goes to die because I don't surf. I tried once, wasn't it for me, but yeah, I'll stick with the swimming.
I feel like I'm the same way because you're what, 6'1", 6'2"?
6'2", yeah.
So I'm 6'10". I just feel like it's just a lot tougher. Like I had small friends and they're like, just hop on the board. I'm like, I'm trying, and it just wasn't for me. Like, and the boards were too small and they're flying. I just didn't have it in me.
I just looked over and there was like a 10-year-old kid just getting like every wave, and I was like, yeah, I'm not on the right spot. This isn't good for me.
So let's go into your mental health stuff. You did some stuff with Rise Athletes where you kind of mentored younger athletes on the mentalities that kind of will be beneficial for them going forward with sport. Take us through that experience and how you kind of got linked up with them.
Yeah, I recently joined Rise over the summer, and I kind of got in touch with them through a former a high school a player that's playing professionally now that I went to high school with, and so he's one of the mentors too. And I just, when I saw what he was doing, I was like, wait, that's something that I would really be interested in pursuing. So it's been just a really cool experience so far. I was a psychology major in college. Just the mental side of the game has always been a big interest to me, mostly due to my experiences and finding that aspect of the game has always been more difficult for me than the physical at times. So just the impact that can have on my performance is massive, and the idea of being able to expose younger athletes to it at an earlier age than I kind of learned a lot of these concepts is really exciting. So I get to mentor basically high school age athletes is mostly our focus, and just kind of train them in mindset development techniques, and then also just kind of be there, and be someone that they can trust and they can talk to as they're trying to navigate this crazy sport world.
Do you still, so even in Portugal, are you still setting up Zoom sessions and things like that with your mentorees?
Yeah, I limit the numbers just because with the schedule it can be difficult, the time difference, but I still am involved with it, which is nice to just have kind of another outlet for my energy and somewhere else that I can focus on kind of giving back and helping somebody, because I think a lot of times when you're overseas you can get so singularly focused on like your performance in basketball like every single day, and so it's nice to kind of be able to direct my energy somewhere else every once in a while.
It's super cool what you're doing, because obviously I'm a huge advocate for mental health. I know how important it's been, and especially for younger athletes to have someone to look up to. I mean, you're a professional basketball player, and I feel like I think there's some kids who kind of look at professional basketball and they're like, I'm going to play in the NBA or I'm going to play in the WNBA, and you're like, sure you are. And it's just like they don't understand, how good you have to be playing at this level. And so those kids that really understand it and can see that and look at that, is that something too that you talked about? It's almost like a release for you when you're sitting there listening, and I'm sure people your coach probably, or someone speaks English and your teammates probably speak English, which is mostly what Europe is. But is it nice to kind of hop on a call and be able to hear someone speak perfect English, and it almost brings you home? You're like, oh, it's like we're not that far.
Yeah, for sure. It's always, I know even when I like come home and I'm in the airport and I'll like turn around like, oh, I can understand again. that's definitely a nice connection bit of it.
That is so true. The airport part is so nice. That first time you come home, and then
Yeah.
it's like I would always come into Philly, and I feel like I would be overseas in like some country no one spoke English, and then I come home and like someone baggage handler, you'd hear them when you walking through like dropping F-bombs and yelling and screaming. You're like, oh, it's so nice to be home.
Yeah,
Like, oh,
for
this is
sure.
great. Well, Devon, this has been awesome. I really appreciate your time and sitting here and taking a few, like some time out of your day to talk,
Yeah,
because I think
of
it's
course.
important what you're doing. I think it's important with the mental health. I think it's important just your career and pushing forward, and creating new opportunities. And I look at things because I have a daughter, and I'm always looking to be like, who are her role models? And
Mm,
the people like you are good role models, because
yeah, thank you.
you keep pushing and keep going, and you take chances, and that's something that's so big. And also, your dad played football at Columbia. he
Yeah.
he and this is a personal question for me, because my daughter,
Okay.
she's 9 and she plays
Uh-huh.
basketball, and I
Uh-huh.
swear to God, I sit there and I'm like, I'm not going to say a word. I'm not going to say a word. As a when you're as your dad,
Oh, I
being
know where
a
this is going.
collegiate athlete, was he someone who kind of was like talking in the arena, or like when you were young, was he telling you, was he yelling instructions, or was he kind of just like watching you play?
Yeah, no, I still can't get him to keep his mouth shut. and he's thousands of miles away.
This is the best thing I've heard all day. This is great news.
Yeah. No, he's great. He's a huge supporter. But yeah, and he's always right too. So I can't even get that mad. But at this point, especially like at this level, like, Dad, yes, I know. Like, I know. I know I should have done that in that possession, or I know this, and he can't help himself. But he directed actually a lot of his energy at refs growing up. So
Yeah.
at least they took like the brunt of the yelling. At least I just
Yeah.
got kind of the comments.
She's 9, so she's playing in like like the youth leagues and stuff, and like travel
Mhm.
basketball. So the
Mhm.
refs, I get it. Like, I'm looking at these refs, I'm like, they don't want to hear what I have to say. Like, they're just here to get a paycheck. They're just running up and down. But my daughter, I feel like I'm just like, I'm not yelling at her, but I'm just like, kind of like, go harder, go quicker, go quicker. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't be this dad, but I feel like that's just what is going to happen. So it's whatever.
You come by it honestly.
You can't, yeah, seriously. Well, this is one that I'm definitely going to listen to with her. And just
good.
like I said, you'll have another Devon Brookshire fan, because we love what you're doing, and we really appreciate you hopping on.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was really great to chat, and I really appreciate the support.
Devon Brookshire, everyone.